I don't think I can call with bottom pair.
And Andy lays down the better hand. Ferguson buys the pot.
I like what I'm seeing out of Chris in this second match so far, Matt, despite the fact that he doesn't have the chip lead. Like any good coach, he made the halftime adjustment, and he is sticking to it.
I think I'm ahead by a little bit. No, I think I'm ahead by 8,000.
He's up by 8,000.
If Chris wins this pot, if I fold the big... If I fold on the button, Chris, you'll have me by 2,000.
Lines indeed up to 5 and 10,000 here. Andy suited with King 10.
So, okay.
You gonna give up the chip lead that easy? No.
And he puts in a raise to 25,000. Suited ace 8 for Chris.
There's the real diamond draw.
And the flop. No diamonds, 10 queen deuce.
Pair of tens for Andy Block. He's out-flopped Chris.
Chris checks.
Again, Chris is checking in this spot, and now Andy's going to check behind him. He doesn't want to get check raised like he has been.
Turns a 6 of clubs.
Despite the fact that Andy had a pair of tens with the king kicker on this flop, he slowed down. This is the type of thing that is advantageous when you play the way Chris has been playing so far in this match. You pick up free cards.
Andy's bet 25,000. Chris makes the call. And the river, a 4 of clubs.
Well, Chris is not convinced that Andy has anything as of the turn. The river's put a third club out there.
Check.
Check, check. And Andy's tens take down the pot.
Opted for... Oh, good thing no diamonds.
Fairly conservative check by Andy on the river in position there.
That would have been bad flop, like all diamonds.
I'd like to see him put in a value bet. If he gets raised big, he can always get away from it.
4,000.
There's a lot of hands that might pay him off there.
Andy Block leads 1 match to none in this best 2 out of 3 and has a chip lead here in the second match. Welcome back to Caesars Palace, home of the National Heads Up Poker Championship presented by Vonage. Ali, the fact that both of these two finalists play a math-based game has really been the subject of our final table discussion. That's different from the way others in this tournament have played. There are those that play the player, looking across the table at the human at the other end.
Yeah, a player like a Daniel Negreanu will stare across and try to find out what's going on in your head. A player like Chris or Andy will forget you're even there, flip on the internal calculator, and try to find out if they've got enough of an edge to push all in or make a big call.
Chris is re-raised here with pocket queens. And maybe that's part of the reason that these two have had such friendly table talk. They're less concerned with reading one another, in fact.
And Chris Ferguson takes the lead.
Well, for Chris, having the lead in the middle of a championship match is easy. Having the lead at the end is what's given him trouble. The final match is set, playing for the first ever National Heads Up title. Chris Ferguson has evened up this championship match.
He's going all in.
Phil Hellmuth wins the championship. And the river. Ferguson goes up 1-0.
I don't have a good hand, but I got the best hand.
He got the best hand.
I'd like to play a third one. I'm all in.
I call.
Chris Ferguson with another amazing performance, runner-up for the second straight year. You know, making the final table 3 out of 4 years is a terrific accomplishment, but if Chris loses this, his legacy will be more like Susan Lucci at the Daytime Emmys.
Well, she had a real dry spell, but let's not forget, she eventually won one. That said, I'm sure that Chris is putting a tremendous amount of pressure on himself here.
Believe me.
He doesn't want to go home a loser for the 3rd time.
Watch out for the cameras. I did not warn you. Those cameras back a little bit.
No idea what Andy Block is doing here. He's doing his Johnny Carson, you know, let's drive it to commercial moment.
Yeah, where's Doc Severinsen?
Chris is a slight lead.
Suited 4 deuce for Andy here as we get back to the poker portion of the telecast. And ace-9 for Chris.
Andy feeling a bit relaxed. Coming after Chris with a raise. He's got deuce-4 suited.
And the flop. Pair of 4s for Andy, but Chris flops a heart draw. Chris is checked. Andy bets out 25,000.
This is the exact kind of situation that Andy has been check-raised in on more than one occasion so far in this second match. And there it is again from Chris.
And on cue, Chris puts in the check raise to 85,000. Andy folds. I think Chris is onto something here in this second match.
Now, here's where I need to get lucky and make a flush on the turn against your set.
I didn't have a set.
No, not that hand.
I know. You're next.
I mean, just in general.
You're not that far.
I mean,
back.
this hand.
Oral, I know you're here rooting on Andy. He actually eliminated you from the tournament, but what should Chris be doing right now playing him? He's down 1-0.
Well, you know, just watching it, I hope neither one is avoiding defeat and is going for the win. Chris has had 2 times where he's been at this position and has not won, so now he's down 1-0. He could be trying to avoid defeat and embarrassment.
Do you think he's feeling the pressure?
Well, I would feel that, yeah, there's some pressure there, and he's hoping for good cards plus to outplay him. And then you look at Andy, he's never been in this position. He doesn't have a World Series bracelet, and this is the highest value that he's been to with a chance to win something up 1-0.
You know, a lot of the pros here really commended how you played. What do you think you can do better to become a better poker player?
Well, these guys now have kind of befriended me and are like, I've got more phone numbers of poker stars than I do baseball players. So I think I've got a lot more coaches, but what Mark Gregorich did and Gavin Smith and Bill Edler, I'll never be able to repay him.
Well, we loved having you here at Heads Up Poker. We hope you come back next year. Thank you, Oral.
It's been awesome.
Leanne, thanks. A great run by Oral Hershiser. It came to an end in the quarterfinals when he lost to Andy Block. Blinds have gone up here to 10 and 20,000. Andy has called. And Chris 9-8 checks. And the flop. Big flop for Andy. 2 pair. Ace, Trey, King.
Well, it's going to be hard for Andy to get any action from Chris in this situation unless Chris decides to bluff at this pot.
6 of spades on the turn.
Chris has no spade in his hand, and look at this. Checking once on the flop has earned Andy at least an extra 30,000 as Chris is drawing dead in this pot.
Andy calls. And the river. 8 of clubs. Oh, and that could give Andy some more action.
Well, Chris does finally make a pair here, but he's probably going to put Andy on some type of spade draw, knowing that he won't get called if he bets, unless it's by a better hand. He wisely checks.
Andy bet 60,000.
You know, it's so easy, Matt, for those of us at home looking at the hole cards to make this decision, but all Chris has to go by is how the betting has come down. Could look like a busted spade draw here.
2 pair.
2 pair is very, very, very good.
Chris made the call, and Andy took down the pot.
That's what I call you.
Nice catch. The only thing...
It was it.
You weren't drawing dead.
I was gonna bet the river. Actually, not even. I was just...
You were drawing dead, and you got there.
Well, after a tricky check on the flop, Ferguson pays off Block on the river. Chris donates $110,000 in chips to the Andy Block Foundation, moving the chip count back to almost even. Welcome back to Caesars Palace, home to the Las Vegas Strip's biggest stars, including newcomer Bette Midler. Back at our final table, where Chris still has a slight lead.
You got me to bluff my chips off and then call you. Wow.
Yeah.
Bluff and then call.
Andy leads 1 match to none in this best 2 out of 3. Queen 10 for Andy here.